Hey guys, welcome back to the Daily Crypto Market Update. BTC had a pretty disastrous close below our short-term bear flag. Now, again, I'm still struggling with calling this the bear flag. We did have a pivot low here on Thursday, and obviously it lost it. It dumped about 4.42% yesterday, but wick to wick, actually more like 5%, 5.5%. And already we're off to an amazing start of the day with a quick wick down for about 2% for BTC. Why is this happening? It could be a lot of factors, but honestly, this is just what bearish activity looks like. This is a strong bearish chart. We're in the middle of a bottom here. We're very, very, very close to Bitcoin finally capitulating. No, I don't think it's capitulated. Yes. One positive thing to note about price action is that this newly formed low here is now finally in that 63K range, where I was saying, well, this would make the most sense to see a low form around 63K. Do I think it's going to be right now today? I don't really know right now, but we're going to have to just wait and see. But either way, actually not either way, let me say it this way. If this bear flag is legit, we've already lost support on a very massive drop. The next thing we should expect to see is a test of previously lost support, confirming it as resistance, and we go lower. Again, this is the same thing that happened back over here, test, and it dropped, okay? Now, the one thing I should say is that when we see a pretty sharp drop like this, like back over here, or even back over here, 20th of January, here on the 29th of January, this is usually a foreboding sign of bearish strength taking over. That was also a 5%-ish drop on the 20th of January before we chopped sideways and fell lower. Here on the 29th of January, that was a 6.5% drop. So bearish momentum is still very much in play for BTC. One other thing to be aware of, even though we had good bullish momentum, I guess you could say, for RSI, it got absolutely destroyed yesterday. So we had higher lows and higher highs until we didn't have a higher high on Friday last week on the 20th. And we did not see our support level here at 32, whatever, from Wednesday the 18th be upheld. In fact, it lost support. So this is, again, not a good, strong bullish sign. Yes, on balance volume is very strong bearish. I know that volume actually shot up yesterday to tag or to touch the fast line. That does not mean that we're seeing really positive price action though. If volume is increasing while the price is falling, that means that momentum is on the side of whichever direction the price is heading, which is down. On the weekly time frame, we are still very much on track for hitting our capitulation sooner than later, which is a good sign. Weekly RSI is currently at a staggering 14.74. The low back over here on the week of June the 13th, was 12.63. We go back to 2018 December, the low was 13.17. We are in that capitulation zone. Again, I really want to see BTC just dump one more time. The targets, again, are on the chart. So we have a short-term target at 60,000. The next real significant one to tag is 49,000. And then we start getting into our lower targets below 40K. My target is still around $35,000. Somewhere around here, mainly because we've seen these previous bear markets drop between 70 to 80%. So again, I don't think that this is the bottom after Bitcoin has only fallen 52%. Falling down here to $49,000 is only a 61% haircut from the top. When we finally reach this level of $38,496, that's 69%. So again, I still think that we're heading lower. I still think that it makes more sense for BTC to drop more instead of to bounce from here or basically say that this is the bottom. If we compare the 2022 bear market, this is actually par for the course. We saw a pretty devastating drop of 22% in a week on the week of May the 9th. The price chopped sideways for about 3 weeks, and then finally it had one more puke on the 6th, the week of the 6th to the week of the 13th, falling, and I just totally didn't look at that, 45%. That's exactly when RSI bottomed out, but the price didn't. The price chopped, we still dropped again. That's what I think is more likely going to happen, especially given the fact that it's now the end of February. And if this is going to be another 52-week long bear market from the top over here in October, then that means that we're looking at a possible bottom, or rather BTC finally confirming the bottom 365 days later, which means from the current price right now, we still have approximately 32-ish weeks of chop. So all this to say, yeah, I do think Bitcoin's going lower. I do expect it to drop and tag all of these artificial supports. Honestly, the sooner the better. But just because we have one more capitulating dump, which feels very, very close, it doesn't necessarily mean, oh yeah, everything's over. So what we'll want to look for or identify in terms of that big capitulating dump is a long weekly candle, long lower wick, massively oversold RSI, and a big spike on weekly volume. We actually saw one of these on the week of May the 9th, which was a preemptive move. That's what we saw a couple weeks ago. At the beginning of February, we're chopping, so I'm waiting for one more of these. So if we assess and look at volume, we saw a big week of volume back over here on the 2nd, and now we're 3 weeks after. I think we're setting up for one more big flush, which should mean one more big spike for volume, which should be our capitulating dump. So again, it may not feel great, but honestly, Band-Aid method is so much better, you guys. You have no idea. I just want to get this over with. And I imagine some of you do too. Ethereum is no different. It's looking pretty beat up. It fell more, obviously, because it's an alt. So because of the multiple factor effect, alts are going to fall more when Bitcoin dumps. There's immediate artificial support at 1747 and then 1385. That's going to be an easy target to take out if Bitcoin falls down to 49,000 today or this week. The real target I have for Ethereum, though, is around $1,000, maybe $1,100. But this 1073 mark, it probably won't hit that exact level. It'll probably hit around 1169 or so. At least that's my opinion. One thing to note is that weekly RSI dropped to 12.69 for Ethereum, and we're at 17.22. Again, we're really, really close to Ethereum finally having its capitulating dump. That's what we want. We just want to get it all over with, and we're really close. Stablecoin dominance on the daily time frame broke above resistance, and now we're seeing it put in a higher local high. Okay, and now it's at 74.82. More notably, yesterday it pushed up 4.1%. It's above TBO resistance. All 4 lines of the TBO cloud on the daily time frame are pointing up, indicating that this is a strong bullish uptrend. So any pullbacks that we have, it's a buy the dip moment. So on the weekly time frame, we're still on track. We're still on target to finish very, very soon. The last time this happened back over here was the week of May the 9th, 2022. Big, long upper wick, just like we saw here on the 2nd of February. Then a couple of weeks later, it shot up about 73%. So if we see the same exact thing, 73%, I doubt it's going to be the exact same. But again, I've been saying that I expect stablecoin dominance to top out at around 18% this time. It keeps going up higher and higher. It's also worth pointing out that weekly RSI is now at 90.32. The spike over here on the 13th of June is at 94.19. I think we actually might exceed it this time. So yeah, things are very overbought, very bullish on this chart, which means more downside potential for stablecoin dominant, for alts and Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin dominance dropped a lot yesterday. After Bitcoin dumped, seeing this fall with stablecoin dominance going up is actually a positive sign. Again, I want to get this over with. So this is exactly what we need to see happen. Others dominance, it actually closed up green, but the main thing to focus on here is that we're seeing a loss of support. Lower highs on RSI, we broke our short-term and extremely short-term support level, kind of like we did back over here. If we want to draw something similar, our low on the 10th of October, to this low on the 3rd of November. We saw it break. We saw it push above and struggle on the 24th, 25th of November, and it fell a lot lower. We could kind of do the same thing here. The dump on the 18th of December, it lost our support level. It struggled and it dumped. So I feel like we're on the verge of the next dump. Total ES, which is the total crypto market cap excluding stablecoins, lost $87 billion yesterday, falling down 4.35%. I know that a lot of these dominance charts, like others dominance, looks good, kind of, but the reality is that things are still very, very fragile and weak. Reminder that weekly RSI is now at 14.62 for total ES. The max pain, or the max low, was back on the 13th of June at 12.56. So we are extremely close. On balance volume is still massively bearish, and it's actually dropping far below the low that we saw back over here in June 2022, by the way. It was at 2.13, now it's at 1.34 trillion. So no, I don't really see a reason for things to just magically bounce. I think things are going to fall a lot lower, but again, that's part of the capitulation process. Looking on the weekly time frame, RSI on the weekly time frame for others is at 21.06. The last time it got really oversold was over here on the 13th of June at 14.52. So this could actually fall a lot more. We'll see what happens. Now looking at TradFi, the Dixie remains in bullish consolidation, and it actually is in process of confirming a TBO close short. That orange diamond right there tells us that the bearish downtrend could be coming to an end soon. So be prepared for a move to the upside, just like these two back over here in July 2025, and then a third one here at the end of July. We saw the Dixie shoot up about 2%. We had another one over here on the 6th of October. And we also saw it shoot up another 2%. So it seems to me like the Dixie is going to shoot up at least 2% towards the 100.261 TBO resistance level, or at least that range. That should mean more pain for the stock market. Lo and behold, S&P futures closed down negative 1.04% yesterday, and it confirmed a TBO open short. That pink triangle, now this green line, which is a TBO fast line, is no longer green, but it's pink, confirming the bearish downtrend. Now, I will say, it could just be a short-term reversal. We saw this, and we've seen it happen so many times before. Oversold price, TBO open short, prints late, like back over here on the 6th of August, 2024, and it snaps back up. Here's a TBO open short printing late on the 14th of January, and it snaps back up. Now, here's one from back in February 2025. It felt late until it wasn't, and it saw the S&P fall another 17-ish% because of all the tariff fear. And coincidentally, what a coinkydink, that's exactly what's happening again. Now, the market usually learns from its lessons. It's probably not going to panic because of tariff uncertainty, but it certainly isn't helping. If we look at the weekly time frame here for on-balance volume, we're seeing a lot of the same stuff that we did back in early 2025, just before we had a pullback. That's exactly what I'm expecting to have happen again. Weekly RSI continues to put in lower lows and lower highs, bearish structure. In terms of the TBO, though, everything is still strong bullish. However, we could easily see it fall down at least to the weekly TBO slow line, which is at 58.74, which would be about a 14% drop from the current price. Wouldn't surprise me. The Dow Jones, even though it had this nice push on Friday the 6th, which was very surprising, up almost 3%, making a new all-time high. We had all these bearish warnings, TBT bearish divergence clusters, not part of the TBO. This is a pro tier indicator from the club. But it confirmed a TBO close long yesterday, down 1.66%. RSI has been looking very weak for quite a while in the daily time frame. Note the lower lows. On the weekly time frame, no other bearish symbols yet, other than RSI on the weekly, starting off with a bang, probably going to put in a lower low this week as well. Tesla, this one continues to struggle with short-term overhead resistance. And it wicked into TBO support at 397.75. More importantly, though, the stock is now confirmed strong bearish below the daily TBO cloud. Note that we had a TBO open short back over here on the 20th of January, and Tesla actually moved up 7% before finally giving into the trend. So now that it's strong bearish on the daily time frame, I'm expecting it to continue to droop and to drop lower. So some targets to consider. Short-term target would be here on TBO, historical TBO resistance / support at 364. And of course, way down here, current support at 234, something like that. The VIX, again, looking super fishy, putting in significantly higher lows as it pushes up. It wicked actually, to 22.04 into our reversal zone. Again, something is not right. Something looks like it's going to break very soon. UK oil, even though it had a confirmed TBO breakout cluster, although it's kind of messy and it has the TBT bearish divergences, it's not necessarily bearish here. And I still think that we could see UK oil push up towards maybe like 95 or something like that on the weekly if things got really crazy. But on the daily, there's decent resistance here at 80. So around 79.50 or so, 79.30 would be a reasonable place to see it pop up to and fall from. Again, this is assuming that if things get really bad in Iran, then we'll see this pop up. But if things are resolved, we'll see it fall lower. Gold, doing its thing, after confirming an open above the 618, it closed up 2.32%. Today, it's down about 1%. Doesn't really matter. Again, the chart is still super strong bullish. All 4 lines of the TBO are pointing up. So it's a strong bullish uptrend. On the weekly, still super strong bullish. And as a result, actually, I want to do this one first. Silver moved up. I drew this just this morning. So it's a short-term Fibonacci retracement level. It's interesting that it hasn't even gotten to the 0.618 level, but it did move up to the 0.5 at 88.28, and it got, so far it's getting rejected. It didn't close above it yesterday. So we'll see, but it is strong bullish. It's above the cloud. So again, is this a good time to pivot away from gold and into Bitcoin? No. Right now, PAXG, BTC, is super strong bullish. It's in process of printing a breakout after a big move. So most likely it's going to be an exhaustion breakout, not continuation. We're almost about to cross above our 786 fib level at 0.0836. Weekly RSI is at 93.94. I think this is the highest it's ever been. That's nuts. So we are very close to capitulating for BTC and finally getting a really good entry for BTC and also pivoting away from gold, but we're not there yet. I still think that we're going to see more downside. I still think we're going to see PAXG BTC go up a lot higher before we finally get that really juicy entry. Now, I'm going to be sharing way more insights and observations about the market in today's weekly market analysis write-up for the Better Traders Club as soon as I'm done with this and posting it, all that fun stuff. But even so, if you don't want to check out the club, which is totally fine, you should at least get some education. I've already laid out the framework of how to trade in a bear market, in a bull market, giving you exit strategies and things to consider in both bullish, bearish, and choppy conditions in all of our courses. 50 Minutes Financial Freedom, this is the best place to start. It has everything you need to know on how to get started trading crypto, both using automated trading signals for DCA bots and active trading using the TBO. And speaking of, you can also just sign up for the TBO via thebettertraders.com. Go ahead, check out the TBO. It's the best trading view indicator I've ever used since 2019. It's fantastic for identifying the strength of the trend reversals, support and resistance, breakouts, breakdowns, all that fun stuff. And as you can tell, our journal has been updated. It is now in print on demand, so you can grab and snag a copy for yourself via Amazon.com. If you enjoy using the journal and you want to leave us a review, awesome. I would love it. I'd appreciate it. And if you're looking for an exchange partner, check out 2bit. They are a non-KYC requiring exchange that you can deposit and withdraw up to 50,000 USDT per day legally without a VPN. And they also have lots of crazy bonuses. You want to use the link that's provided down below. Now, I have some picks. Actually, you guys have a ton of picks. So I'm going to do my best to make my observations about my charts really quick. Okay, but if you have charts, stocks, coins that you want me to check out, leave it request down below as a comment, but make sure that you add the $sign. So that way my bot that's scanning everything will get that information, so that way I don't miss it, okay? And there are no guarantees. Sometimes I also reject some chart requests for whatever reason, okay? So there's a lot of bearish vibes across the place, no duh. I want to start off first with a lot of these pink ones. These are all bearish. So pink basically highlighting TBO breakdowns on the 4-hour or the daily time frame, or even the weekly time frame for some of these charts. Like for XMR, Solana, this one broke below support. It's most likely going to be testing resistance and then falling lower. Hype had a massive drop yesterday of 9%, and also printed TBO breakdowns. Probably a little bit late, to be honest, but still, it's something that we've been watching develop for quite a while, seeing lower highs on RSI, seeing a very strong bearish on balance volume, seeing volume just going lower and lower. So it's not really a surprise. Again, it's going to go down here to $20 again. Zero, this one confirmed a TBO open short yesterday. Algorand, this one has 3 TBO breakdowns on the 4-hour time frame. Pump, also working on a 3rd TBO breakdown on the 4-hour time frame. There's a lot of these that are just ready to explode. Arbitrum, I believe this one also has a 3rd TBO breakdown once the chart finally loads. Yep, has 3 TBO breakdowns. MYX continues to drop lower and lower, confirming a TBO breakdown after a 31% drop yesterday. This is the chart that just keeps on giving. And isn't it interesting to note where it's heading? All the way down here. If you guys are in a short position on this, and you haven't taken any profit yet, just consider just taking out a little bit. And I would, honestly, if I had a short position on, I would just be leaving it open as much as possible, because this is going to make back so much of your losses. It's disgusting. But just be aware, there will be these short squeezes that the price just reverses 100% and it goes lower. Crypto's brutal. Fartcoin, our barometer, our barometer for the crypto market, dropped 17% and confirmed a TBO breakdown, a 3rd. Not really surprised. Pippin, this one actually pushed up higher yesterday, which I was surprised about to see, up 18%. It has not pushed above the high set on Sunday the 15th. It also, yesterday, it put in a higher high on RSI at 76.67. Some of you are asking, so what's up with this? Did you get stopped out? What about your stop loss? I've actually just entered it now. So the reason why I'm waiting, so I want to see how much higher it can go. I'm not trying to time the top. Now I have a pretty decent stop loss at about 9%, which is admittedly a lot more than I want to risk. But the reality is that when I'm using AllTrader to do this, I can actually just set this position to use a fixed percentage of my portfolio. So if I'm using cross margin, which is admittedly riskier, but by using cross margin, a 9% stop loss, which would usually liquidate a lot of you using very high leverage, actually is going to be using a smaller amount of my account, which is great. So that's exactly one of the reasons why I like using the AllTrader platform. And yes, I am quite greedy with this chart. I do think that it's going to fall a lot lower. Just because it doesn't really have legs to stand on, it will inevitably fall lower, especially if Bitcoin's going to have one of these roaring dips, another leg down. Golem, this one had 3 TBO breakdowns in a row, and it snapped back up just a little bit after the 3rd one, but it's very clearly bearish on the 4-hour. On the daily, it now has a 2nd TBO breakdown in process after dropping below support. That's a big warning sign. Horizon, or Zen, has 2 TBO breakdowns on the 4-hour. Knight has a 2nd TBO close long. This is warning us that the bullish uptrend could be coming to an end soon. We already know this because daily RSI has already lost bullish structure. What are you talking about? See all of these higher lows, except, whoops, right there, yesterday, we saw it drop below. That's the first warning sign that Knight is probably losing some steam. Could it go up higher right now? Yeah, it could. It could actually push up again one more time, but that's a pretty bad sign. Again, thinking about the macro outlook for BTC. And speaking of, we'll most likely see charts like Bitcoin Cash go a lot lower. How much lower? Well, Bitcoin Cash is currently working on its 4th TBO close long on the weekly. it'll most likely fall all the way down here below $100. Easy target. Aster, on the daily time frame, even though it has a confirmed TBO open long, I'm laughing because I know it's not legit, and it's usually going to be late. That's how it works. It's continuing to hold, which kind of feels good, except we're seeing it lose strength, and especially with RSI, and volume is also not able to keep up either. It's in danger. Oops. On the 4-hour time frame, we don't even have any more TBT bearish divergences or TBO closed longs. We're just straight up open short. Morpho, this one closed red yesterday, down 1.89%. All these wicks, though, are being suppressed right below 166, which is interesting. And yes, on balance volume is bullish. Yes, volume is exceeding the moving average. Yes, RSI is still looking pretty okay. The main concern I have for the chart is that it's about to break this uptrend. Almost. So it's not quite there yet, but I feel like Morpho is on its last legs, even though it's technically strong bullish. Now onto your charts, there's a lot of them, so let's get into it. Rave, this one had a massive rug pull yesterday. I don't know what happened in terms of the chart or the team or any of that, but I can tell you, any chart that dumps 52% in an hour, most likely they got hacked, especially because it's a DAO, or insiders just dumped. And isn't it interesting to see the price just pump 92% and literally give it all away? Crypto. MIGA, not looking too hot. It had a nice upper wick. That was your exit wick, up 120%, especially if you had gotten here and you're DCAing, that's where you get out. I wouldn't touch anything like this right now. Very strong bearish, most likely going lower. Pepe, meme coin, it's not really solving any problems at all. The main thing to also be aware of is that it already lost support. Short term, really, really short term. It's strong bearish on balance volume. Volume continues to be really weak. RSI is weak as well. Price is strong bearish. So again, Pepe should fall a lot lower. It should. Monad continues to kind of hold up, actually. And again, this is the funny thing about the market right now, is that Bitcoin is looking very disastrous. And then we have charts like Monad. It did have a long drop yesterday, approximately 5%, almost 6%, and it still managed to close up green. So there's demand for it, but be careful. It's false demand, in my opinion, right now. Doge, it's down at TBO support on the daily time frame. On the weekly, yes, it had a TBO close short, but again, everything is macro bearish. Doge will follow Bitcoin for sure. So will Sui, which is strong bearish. Again, it's approaching this support level that was already pierced, but there's a support level to watch here. I don't think it's going to hold. Render, yes, it has TBT bullish divergence cluster. Wow, that's so exciting, so great, except for the fact that I don't really think it's going to hold up, and I think it will fall with everything else, even though AI is a great sector to be aware of and to have some exposure to, but not before BTC capitulates, in my opinion. AWE, crazy downtrend. I wouldn't say that this is the same thing as the Rave DAO chart, mainly because it's been a big dump, still a lot, but it hasn't lost structure. It got rugged for sure. I would much rather wait for it to fall down here to support or just below support around 4 cents before buying into anything like this. Quantum resistant ledger remains strong bearish on the daily time frame. On the weekly time frame, it's in bearish consolidation. RSI is really bearish. Note the TBT bearish divergences up here. The week of the 5th of January and the 19th of January marking a pretty strong top. Aave continues to look weak. Again, nothing really surprising here. Macro bearish chart. The next target is the 85.92 price point, which is the 236 Fib level, which is about 24-25% lower. Aptos, this one strong bearish, no big changes. TBO breakdown cluster on the weekly time frame. It's also below its listing low. Surge, never heard of this, and it's surging down lower and lower. TBO no TBO breakdowns at all, but definitely not strong bullish at all. It's much better to wait for Bitcoin to bottom out first. Then you could start inching into a position on a low cap like this. At least that's how I would do it. VVV. First thing I notice is that the price action is stalling sideways. Not terrible. The only bad thing about it is that we have a very much lower high on RSI on the 20th compared to the 15th. So that's pretty noticeable. We're also seeing a break of structure. So we're seeing lower highs and lower lows. That's bad. And the price is kind of holding up. That's not good. So if it happens to pump up here to like 459, that would be a place to exit on a 19% move, or consider entering and entertaining a short. AGI, strong bearish. It's going down to new all-time low territory pretty soon. APU, a meme coin. Enough said. Yes, I know a lot of these charts had these surprise moves in the beginning of the year in January. This one actually moved up 148%. But again, it's going against the macro trend, which is very bearish. CTSI, crazy volume pump. Oops, nope, I hate when that happens. Right here on the 21st of February. So 2.1 million versus an average of 243,000. So that's nuts. There's probably some news to support it. Still strong bearish though. It doesn't matter. One other thing to consider, I say this a lot, but it's worth saying. When weekly RSI is oversold below 25, which is what I look for, it usually means that the macro trend remains bearish. Once it moves back up, okay, cool. Then we're not in that strong bearish mode again. But if we're below 25, we should be expecting the price to fall lower. EGLD, strong bearish. Goldfinch, strong bearish. It's also going, note, you see this? TBO breakdowns on the weekly. After those ones finished, it's fallen down 65%. Giga, again, memes. Why are you guys looking at memes right now? That was a season that was done. Mudang, again, why? There's no real reason to do it. Yes, they had some crazy returns. No, they won't return to those crazy returns, in my opinion. NXRA, very strong bearish on the daily and the weekly. No sign of a bottom at all. Retardio. Yes, we have some bullish reversal symbols, but again, it's a meme. It's in danger mode. XDC. I think we're going to see a bigger pivot to coins that actually do something by the time we see a reversal bottom. I could be super wrong, and memes might have another leg or another move up for them because they're not necessarily going away. But anyway, I think that coins that actually have utility and purpose are going to see their time in the sun, namely AI and related coins. I would expect XDC to fall down here to support around 0.022 or so, or 0.023. LYN. So again, there are going to be charts that totally buck the trend that don't care about Bitcoin. So how do you know when to get out of a chart that is on a current incredible streak up almost 200%? How do you know when to get out? Well, the first thing you do is you look at daily RSI to identify, are we putting in lower highs? Which it has been. Okay. What about volume? Is volume dying down? No, not really, actually. That's kind of concerning, to be honest. So it could continue to push up higher. The main thing is that if you're in an uptrend like this and you haven't taken any profit yet, you might want to consider doing so. There are no signs of it necessarily reversing on the 4-hour. And the interesting thing is that these low caps fly under the radar so much that they could easily keep going higher and higher. If Bitcoin were to fall down to 49,000 a day, Lin could actually pump up to $3 in the same day, because it's a low cap that doesn't really care about what Bitcoin's doing, basically. That's the easiest way to explain it, but crypto is kind of weird like that. HBAR, still strong bearish. So HBAR would be different altogether because it's a mid-cap coin. So if Bitcoin dumps, HBAR will most certainly dump a lot lower, down to support at 0.07. Zcash, I've already given you guys my analysis on this for a while. We have 2 TBO close longs on the weekly. Zcash is most likely going to be heading all the way back down to like $15. Now for some stocks. Google on the weekly time frame has a TBO springboard bounce. Last week, it fell down to the fast line at 299. There's resistance at 327. It's like a 9% return. All 4 lines of the weekly cloud are pointing up. The only thing to be concerned about is that RSI took a massive hit on the week of the 9th. Really massive. Note that weekly RSI had already been putting in lower highs. So it's not like this should have been a surprise to anyone, as long as you understand how to read these signs. On balance, volume's good. Volume's decent. Here on the daily time frame, yeah, it's showing some warning signs. 2 TBO closed longs on the daily. Earlier this month, confirmed open short, even though it moved up 3%, but it's in bearish consolidation mode on the daily time frame. CVNA, Carvana, strong bearish on the daily time frame. On the weekly time frame, it has a confirmed TBO closed long, which hasn't been closed yet. It's seen a lot of these. The main thing to be aware of, again, is that same concept of seeing these lower highs for RSI. We don't want to see a break of this structure, though, in terms of support, which is kind of already happening. So it's in danger of falling a lot lower, according to weekly RSI. Okay? And if that happens, let me zoom out. Well, a good target would, oh, look, I mean, gosh, it did the same thing back over here too. So it actually felt a lot lower. But I don't know if that's necessarily the bear market doing its thing, falling 98%. Well, there's clear support on the weekly around $9 if things really get to that point. But I don't know why this stock might have crashed that much. So that's pretty rough, I'm not going to lie. LVMH, Moet Hennessy, Louis Vuitton. Okay. And I had to find a different ticker for this because the one that I found before, like this, the fund ETF on the Toronto Stock Exchange, had not enough volume at all. So I'm doing this OTC one instead. Yeah, I would say that this should be negatively affected if the S&P is going to go into a bear market, because luxury items won't be purchased on credit like they are usually. So we'll probably see a drop down here to like 319 where there's support. That would make a lot of sense. Again, assuming that the bear market's coming like I think it is. FIGR. Looks like crypto, to be honest. Looks like a lot of those coins. Crazy run up, and it gave it all away. So you might be wondering, okay, when is a good time to buy? If you don't think that the S&P is going to be going into a bear market, this is actually pretty good because the price is putting in lower lows, but we do have ascending support here in terms of RSI. A low on the 12th at 17.44 and a higher low on the 20th at 18.31. That's actually a positive sign, seeing lower lows in terms of price, but higher lows in terms of price. Wait, RSI. Lower lows in price, higher lows in RSI. My bad. It's still really risky. Yes, it also fell below its listing low. I guess that's what you could say. Galaxy. I'm shocked, honestly, that Galaxy is looking this rough. 3 TBO closed longs on the weekly. It's in bearish consolidation, strongly resembling what it did back over here in 2021 before it dropped another 84% down to 250. So again, if you believe that the stock market is about to crash, there are some clear support levels from the TBO to pay attention to. Actually, I'm going to go to the monthly just to grab a support level because I'm curious about it. Oops. Whoo! That is risky business right there. Yikes. Yikes-a-mighty. Okay. If you really like Galaxy, you really want to see it hold above the bottom of the TBO cloud at 1464. We'll just leave it at that. NVIDIA, I didn't cover it earlier because it was requested. Again, I'm still really concerned about NVIDIA. It will probably absolutely rip from here. But anytime a stock or a crypto gets stuck in a sideways range like this and it doesn't have a clear direction, it's compressed or it's constricted in a sideways range, it's not bullish. Plus, looking at the daily TBO cloud, yes, the price is back to being above, but it's still massively compressed at 2%. And I said it before and I'll say it again. Usually when the TBO cloud gets really compressed, there's going to be some sort of explosive move as a result. And I don't know in which direction it's necessarily going to be. Now, I've already given you my roadmap, at least to where I think Bitcoin will be capitulating, why I think it's going to be capitulating soon. Capitulating as in like going a lot lower really fast, but bottoming out soon, sooner than later. So the real question is, after it happens, then what? Are we really going to see the bear market continue until October this year, like we've seen it happen back in 2017 to 2018, 2021 to 2022? Seems likely. But what can we expect from Bitcoin and from everything else during that period, especially if Bitcoin is going to capitulate really soon? You're going to want to watch this video. Until the next time, you know what to do. Stay awesome and stay in the green. Peace.